Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Covers with myself, Daniela Bleckner, aka your book journey mentor. So if you're watching for the first time, my name is Daniela Bleckner. I am an author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. We work with we work with authors from all over the world to help them to get their powerful messages and stories out there in the form of professional books. Now, if you just glance behind me at this bookshelf, they are just some of the 150 plus books that we've published over the last 6 years. I'm absolutely passionate about providing a platform for unseen, unheard authors so that they can have their voices heard and stories shared, so they can inspire, empower, entertain, and educate for generations to come. So if you're watching this show for the first time, this show really is about offering a platform for those authors, but also to give you, the reader, the viewer, an insight into what it actually means to create a book. A lot of the times people they might go to a library, you might order a book, but not knowing the whole journey, because it's a journey that goes in behind the creation, from idea to manuscript to publishing to book marketing, just not being aware of those different facets that make up the journey of publishing a book. So this is what this broadcast really is about. So I have a very lovely guest today, but before I introduce my guest, hey Benita, I just want to make you aware that it's a special day today. Did you know? In fact, this whole month, it's in the US mainly. I mean, as you know, I'm based in the UK, but I want to bring it here to the UK. It's actually Audiobook Appreciation Month. So today marks the first day, something I'm very excited about. I found myself over lockdown listening a lot more to audiobooks. I don't know whether that was to do with the fact that I was sick of reading. I don't know whether it's to do with the fact that I think I had more time. So I started listening to audiobooks while I was cooking. I started listening to audiobooks while I was walking in the park, and it just seemed so much more leisurely. And I actually came to not even the conclusion. I did a lot of research and found out that it wasn't just me that was consuming these audiobooks over lockdown, and still am now. I'm a huge audiobook lover. So, little statistic for you from Statista. Audiobooks are growing rapidly. Sales revenue from consumer audiobook downloads in the United Kingdom reached 133 million British pounds in 2020, and that's up from 97 million pounds at the previous year. And it's soaring up even more to the point where it's actually overtaking the sales of ebooks. And there also is a lot of proven evidence, which I'll speak about next week, with young people especially. The increase of listening to audiobooks shot up over that period of time, and actually especially with young boys as well. And it's been a great tool to engage young people with reading, which is something I'm absolutely passionate about and run trainings about as well. So with that in light, we are offering a new service which I'm really excited about: audiobooks. So we've teamed up with a studio in London. Same studio, Kingship Studios, Peaches Presents, and Prophecy. Same studio that Amy Winehouse recorded her album Back to Black in. Staff are amazing. So we do everything from providing you with a narrator, or you can narrate it yourself. We'll do the studio mixing, book the studio time for you. But everything to do with publishing and promoting the audiobook we'll do. We'll create the 3D images of your book as well and help you to promote your audiobook. So I'm really excited about it. And we're offering discounts for the first 5 authors. I'm going to be speaking about, I think I'm going to offer you next week 5 tips or 5 reasons why having an audiobook is essential as an author. We already have our first client, Leah Bailey, who I interviewed last week. Her audiobook for Coffee and Paper Cuts is coming out very, very soon. So watch this space. So who do I have as my guest this evening? I have the awesome and amazing Kenny Harry, who's written his debut book, Being Invisible: Men of Color Talk About Love, Life, and Fatherhood. It is such an insightful book. We've been working on this for months and months. I feel like maybe coming up to a year on this book. It's absolutely incredible. It's full of insights from real life, from real life men in fathers groups, case studies, research, anecdotes. It just goes into so many facets in such depth. So I'd like to introduce our awesome and amazing author, Kenny Harry. So I'm going to be inviting Kenny, who is new to social media. After much prodding, I'm quite proud of myself. I've got him onto Facebook. He's on LinkedIn. He's only set up an Instagram account just for the purpose of this particular broadcast. And even then, I'm not sure if I can get him on. Hey, Love Freedom. Nice to hear from you. Nice to see you. I'm trying to get Kenny on Instagram. I hope that's going to work. Kenny, can you see the live? You in my live on Instagram? Yeah, Vinna, it's an amazing book. It's on pre-order now. Being Invisible, Men of Color talk about love, life, and fatherhood. There's nothing like this out there that I've seen anyway, which is why I was so excited about publishing. Are you watching me on Instagram, Kenny? Because I can't see you. If you can say hello on Instagram, then I can invite you into the broadcast at the same time, because you've got a lovely audience here that are really looking forward to seeing you. And this is also a very interactive show for those who don't usually watch. Please feel free to throw up your questions, get involved in the conversation. That would be amazing. We're having a couple of technical things. So Kenny, using your phone, can you see me on Instagram? And if you can just write hello. Are you watching on LinkedIn? Yes, Vida. If you can, on the Instagram stream, just say hello, and then I'll invite you into the broadcast. Because at the moment, I can't seem to get you on Instagram. Hey, Sonia. Hey, My Riding Life. Nice to see you. Yeah, Kenny, I'm going to... Hey, Kenny, I can bring you into hello. Nice to see you. So at the moment, you're on... Hey, Adrian. Hey, Sonia. Okay, if you just mute your computer. I'll mute mine. At the moment, you're on every other channel except for Instagram. So if you can watch this broadcast on your phone on Instagram, just say hello, then I can invite you in. Because we can see your lovely face. I can't hear you now. Hello? I need you in Instagram. You've muted yourself as well, Kenny. This is why we should have had a technical. Thank you. I'm glad you like my spectacles, Adrian.
It's very technical.
Savers.
I can see you on Instagram.
Yeah. Can you just write a comment in the broadcast? Just say hello, and then I can maybe be easier for me to invite you in, because at the moment you're not showing up.
Yeah, I did earlier. There you go. Hello. I've written hello.
Yeah, you've written hello on the StreamYard though, not in the Instagram live. Can you see Instagram on your phone?
Hold on, this is not my...
I know it's not your domain.
Really not my domain. I only joined Instagram today.
I know. So it's very new to Instagram, people. On your phone,
Yep.
Conscious Dreams Publishing, if you just go to my page, can you see my page? And those of you who aren't on Instagram, you're getting a live session on Instagram.
I mean, sorry about these people. I mean, I can see a picture of you and I can see me, but I can't see anything that's saying Conscious Dreams. I can see chats going on between everyone.
You can see me. You shouldn't be able to see me on the Instagram. I think you're on LinkedIn.
Should I just come out for now and you invite me back in?
Yeah. I mean, you're on everything else, but you're not on Instagram. You're not watching this on Instagram, which means I can't invite you in.
Okay, I'm coming out. I'm going to just come out. Maybe you can invite me back in.
Where are you coming out of, Kenny?
I'm off. I've come out of my mobile because when you sent me a link, I pressed it previously.
Just go to Instagram, go to the Instagram app and go to Conscious Dreams Publishing. Sorry about this. Please bear with us. We can leave Instagram if you want. I think it's a bit of a struggle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's leave it. Oh, lovely to see you. Oh, you're about to go to chemotherapy. Okay, I'm sending you my absolute love, Sonia. Sending you love. Okay, thank you. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching on Instagram, I'm going to log out of Instagram and I'll re-download the full interview later on. Please do join me. It's a great time to join me on Facebook, Danny Bleckner, Danni Bleckner, or just tap in Conscious Dreams Publishing. Either on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and you can watch us there. So thank you so much for tuning in. Adrian, I'll see you over on Facebook. Okay.
Okay, Instagram.
Don't worry, I'm going to leave Instagram. Okay, so thank you everyone who's still with us on LinkedIn, Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to reset and start again. So if you're watching for the first time, my name is Daniela Bleckner, author, book journey mentor, founder of a company called Conscious Dreams Publishing. We work with authors from all over the world, including Kenny, to help them get their powerful and, there you go, messages and stories out there to the world. So today I'm interviewing the awesome and amazing Kenny Harry, debut author. Look at his beautiful book, Being Invisible, Men of Color Talk About Love, Life and Fatherhood. Don't you just love that cover? Please show him some love, give him some hearts, tap the screen, share this out if you find this of worth and value. So Kenny, how are you doing and how does it feel being a published author finally?
Wow, it's like an outer body experience, to be honest. It's like I've got my name on a book, but I'm over here. Shouldn't the two just be one? So it's also a nice feeling. It's been a journey of love.
Amazing.
For sure.
So speaking of love, your book is called, your tagline is Men of Color Talk About Love, Life and Fatherhood. So we'll be cracking into all three of those things. But before that, what inspired you to write this book and what's your really main message that you wanted to get out of it?
Well, I mean, I'm a social worker by profession and obviously a male. And I worked with a lot of men within families or separated from their families. And because I've done a lot of that type of work, I understood that when relationships break down, sometimes the fathers don't get to see their children for various reasons. It can be negative or positive reasons. And then, like most people, when you've got a particular job, you can talk to anyone who's in their profession. You kind of bring that job home because people then start to call you your friends and family, start to call you about relationship issues. So I had a lot of men calling me, wanting to talk, wanting some advice. And what I realized, Danny, is I didn't always have all the answers. And all the books out there were American. And so I started to read a lot more American books to kind of like get the answers to the issues my friends and families and acquaintances were having. And then I realized it's an American theme. The culture is slightly different from ours, and that I'm talking to fathers individually. Maybe I just need to get them together to talk about the book. I mean, also at the time, I was going through a separation as well with my partner. We were kind of growing apart. I mean, we had our children together, wonderful children, and now Terrell is now 20, Alea is now 24. And we were really good parents, and we still are really good parents. And then mum was, she's a really good mum. But what happened is we drifted. Yeah. And when the children got older, we found that we had grown apart rather than together because we became mum and daddy. So on a personal level as well, I knew what some fathers were going through. But what I realized is that I need to get fathers together. I need to get fathers together so that we can talk about the type of issues, not just about relationships, but also about fatherhood, and also about life in general. How is life treating you as a black male? What are our hurdles that we're going through? So that's the kind of reason why I really decided to do the book. Danny, like you said, shout out to Danny, multi-talented. We just need to get together and to talk. So that's how it really began. It began in my front room, in fact. That's where I first met some fathers. So that's the beginning.
Well, I was going to go on to ask you that, actually. I mean, you said there's so many interesting things there. And, you know, I'm so glad that you have got this book, because as a woman, I just found it intriguing. I really felt like I had, you know, the blurb, the bit at the beginning we've got is finally unhinged thoughts, feelings and secrets of men by men, a once in a lifetime journey into the minds of men told in the language you all understand. So I really felt like I was there, immersed in those fatherhood groups that you'd, you know, been to, and getting a real insight into men's innermost thoughts on so many different topics. It was amazing. So first question, I guess, is how easy or difficult was it to come across these fatherhood groups, and how going into the dynamics of it? You know, we hear a lot that men find it difficult to open up and talk, and they don't, you know, feel like they have safe spaces, and, you know, there aren't enough safe spaces. How easy was it to get them to open up, or for them to feel safe to open up?
I mean, this started 10 years ago. So I know there's a lot that's happened since, and there's a lot more fatherhood groups. But when I started, there wasn't much. So it started in my front room with about half a dozen fathers. And then it branched out. I met fathers in South London, Hartlepool, Brixton, Tower Hamlet. So they just started to spread out. And what happened, Dan, is that it seemed like the more fathers I spoke to, the more they had to say. Because my book started off as, I was just going to do a how-to book of six chapters on a couple of issues that men are talking to me about.
6 chapters.
And it took on a life of its own. And I just had to go with the flow. And what I realized is that the more groups I met, the more men had issues to talk about. And one of the things and there's a big chapter in the book about masculinity, and where does that come from? And how do we embrace it? And how does it impact on men? And you talked about men not wanting to talk. Certainly I had groups where we had great difficulty getting the men to open up. But what I realized is a little bit of rice and peas and chicken. It really frees people up. And once because as men, we go around with like what I call a mask, you know, this masculinity identity that we know everything, we can do everything. And if we show any type of weakness, it's not a good thing. And I really had to unpick that with some groups so that we can really start to talk about the type of issues that was impacting on their relationships, also impacting on their parenting of their children.
So what were some of the I mean, you had lots of different characters in there, and within the book, which if you get it, you'll see, you have like quotes some different fathers, their different names. So what were some of the really difficult things, you know, men found difficult talking about? And while I say that, I just want to say hello. Debro says, hi, Daniela. Hey, Kenny. 52 weeks later here. He's followed us from Instagram. Awesome. I know the feeling. Andre, hey, congratulations. Nice to see you there. Brilliant. Vina says congratulations as well. Beautiful. Okay, so you got some fans here already. Fantastic. So tell us, you know, what were some of the things that, you know, these fathers found really difficult to open up about?
I've got a chapter in the book called From Boyhood to Manhood.
Yeah.
And we really delve into the psyche of men in the sense of where do their emotions come from? Or more to the point, what age was it dissuaded from being emotional? And that was at a very young age. Some of the some of the men really talk about, like crying and falling over and going to their dads for a hug, and the dad pushing them away and saying, "You're a big boy now, you don't need a hug," and how they had to really stop having that emotional connection to their own feelings, and also being able to exhibit it in society. And that started at quite an early age, and that, I think, was probably one of the hardest subject matter I had to deal with, because I'm talking about having grown men in tears, really, talking about how I just wanted a hug from my dad, and he would say, "Go away, man up, you're a man now." And how that it started a ball rolling within primary school, in secondary school, and in adulthood, where it was reinforced that having emotions was seen as a weakness. And I had some men leave the group because it's too hard for them. But what I talk about also is about how the other men was very supportive of them and welcomed them back into the group to continue the conversations. I think that was one of the hardest areas, and I hope you get to read that, and how masculinity has affected them as fathers and as lovers as well, how that's impacted on them. That was a very difficult thing to write. I think the other area that was difficult to write about was as a black male having to live in the UK, and how that has affected them as males, how they've become very strong in one way because they have to face racism at work, but very brittle in the sense of taking all that home and not being able to share it and not being able to comprehend what's going on for them, and really get promotion in work, and how that impacts them as a male, and how it impacts them as parents and as a partner. I think we talk quite a lot about that in the book.
Yeah, definitely. I want to touch on what you spoke about in the beginning, which was about affection, which is definitely a thing, certainly with African Caribbean households, especially black men. I can talk from a personal point of view. I've encountered men who are tougher with their young boys growing up because that's how they were brought up. A lot of their parents weren't born in the UK, and so they're used to, you know what I mean, the kind of tough love,
man up,
you're a man up. I know this is is something that across transverses across all races and backgrounds, but I mean especially within the black community, there's this barrier, I think, when it comes to men and showing affection. Do you think, or did you come across men who maybe parented their sons differently to young girls, and how did they sort of start to unpick where that stems from, that lack of affection or that sense of man up attitude? Where did it come from?
Yeah, I think you're right, Danny, when you talk about different cultures also have this, in the sense of how do you bring up a male, and I've got a chapter on how to bring up a male, as well as a chapter on how to bring up a female, because I think they're equally as important. And this tough love, really, and I've done generations. I worked with fathers who are 60 down to fathers who are 25. So you find that the younger generation of fathers, it's slightly different for them in the sense of the tough love is exhibited in different ways. It's more like sanctions and stuff. But if you go back to the 70s or 80s, this tough love was really about manning up, and how your dad would discipline you is with a belt or a slipper or a branch or anything they can find. And I remember one male telling me about how when his dad raged, and he would pick up anything he could find to hit them with. And you got to remember, in those days, it was seen as the norm, so to speak. Because what happened is these kind of disciplining styles was transferred from Africa and the Caribbean, and our parents brought that to this country. Our dads had tough love from their dad, so granddad was the same as dad, and dad then done that to the first generation over here. And what you found is a lot of men my age now experience being hit with a belt or whatever else their father could find. And it was very emotionally damaging for these fathers. And what you found is these fathers grew up resenting their fathers. And I have a chapter in my book called Back to the Future's Grandfathers Speak, because I thought it's really important to link up what the fathers were doing to their sons, who are me, and how that affected our emotional well-being. And what you found is you had fathers in the 70s and 80s who were working from can't see at night to can't see in the morning, really long hours to bring up their family. They only came home when they came home, one of the roles they had was to discipline their children. So if mum said you've done X, Y, and Z, dad would go and get his belt. Some dads had different width of belts depending on how bad you were, severity of your misdemeanor, and you take a whipping. And what that kind of translated to the fathers like me, but boys at that time, is how that affected your relationship with your dad. Some fathers said they were so scared of their dad as they grew up that they didn't develop a relationship with their dad. And I think that's affected emotionally a lot of fathers when it comes to their emotion and showing their emotion, because they grew up, if you think about it, the link, not being able to cry, not showing you emotion, being hit by the belt, having a father that didn't show you any emotion apart from if he's hitting you with a belt, hard discipline. And they take all that resentment into their adult life. And one of the things I say is that it's really important, whether you're male or female, it's okay to have counseling, to go through the issues that you've built up. Because what I found with some fathers, and you mentioned, I think you're talking about a type, Danny, there's some fathers that I met that were they really lacked insight into who they are, because what they've done is they kind of buried that feeling of the boy and buried that emotion and never really resolved it with their fathers, or never went to counseling to resolve it. And they take all that rage, that anger into their relationships with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they just cannot filter their emotions. They cannot understand where it's coming from, what their triggers are, how to manage their emotion and their anger, and they take it through their relationships from one to another. So you get a poor woman who goes out with that guy, it doesn't work because of these reasons, then he carries on and he continues, and it's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, I was going to go on to say thank you for that I think that there's two main things in life that are the catalyst for people, if they so wish, to really address their childhood wounds. One is definitely having children. It's where you learn the most about yourself, I believe. And the second is having relationships. So all of these things, like you say, that you suppressed as a young boy or as a young girl, they start to come out when you're in that intimate relationship. And then bringing up a child, you're faced to confront, or you may find yourself subconsciously repeating the patterns from what you see because you don't know any different. Did you come across any fathers who wanted to break the cycle that they found themselves in, that they weren't happy with?
Definitely. And that was very moving. I mean, I'm welling up just thinking about it, to be honest. That was very moving testimonies from fathers where one guy found himself, his son was crying, and one guy found himself just saying to his son to man up. What are you crying for? Just man up. The guy was only 8. And then the dad realized that he and this is from attending groups, our fatherhood group. He realized that he's becoming like his dad, and he didn't like it. So he said, I remember I went over and I just hugged my son. And for me, that was the beginning of me not being like my father, letting go from what I learned, because it's not that he agreed with how his father was. It's just that we all learn parenting, whether we like it or not, informally from our parents.
Yeah.
We choose which parts to accept and take, and we choose which parts to let go of, like the belt, for instance. And I felt that was quite emotional for him. But we still had fathers who insisted on the rod.
Oh yeah, cool. You're always going to have them, aren't you? I mean, you see it now sometimes, with these videos that you watch, give her a couple of smacks, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
never done me any
I
harm.
got beat, never did
I
me
got
any
hit.
harm.
Look at me now. I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Yeah, yeah.
A hanky.
Perpetually single and unable to form a relationship, but fine.
Yeah, and also, I found that fathers, again, another touching thing. Fathers who brought up their daughters and started to drift from their daughters around about the age of 13, 14, when girls start to get more involved in singing, dancing, and then they feel as if they're not as close to their daughters, and then re-establishing a link with their daughters later when they realize that yes, your daughter has emotions, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody should have emotions. Men and females should have emotions. Yeah. It's part of our DNA. It's part of who we are. We should have part of a masculine identity and a feminine identity. And one father was talking about how he felt like he just let mum deal with all the drama.
Yeah.
His daughter saying, "Oh, that one's not talking to me at school, and that one's not talking to me," and he just thought, "Oh God, I glazed over." And it was really nice talking to fathers who are saying, "You know what? No, I don't want to leave, not be part of my daughter's life. I want to go through this roller coaster with her, because at the end of the roller coaster, she's still my daughter, and she's still evolving and developing." And that was quite nice, because we talk a lot in the book about daughters and about the negativity around having dark skin, for instance, in this country, or being a black woman, full stop, and how education is important, and how women of 30, 40 years ago, certainly my sisters, were told, career advice, become a typist in the typing pool. And, you see women now who are entrepreneurs, and we want to continue with that. We want to continue to build our daughters to be the best that they can be. And as a father, you can't just be a father because she gets a boyfriend and all of a sudden, I don't like that boy, why are you going out with him? You have to have a journey from when she's a little girl. We hear this word daddy's girl, and I know hardened men who melt when they have daughters, and how they emotionally involved and attached to them. But don't let that slip as they get older, because once they start to go through secondary school and start to want a career, they need your help as well as your son needing your help.
It sounds like, well, I know from reading your book that these fatherhood groups that you went to are really powerful and a really great way for men to feel safe to speak and have an outlet, and also to come in maybe from one perspective and feel free to come out with another, to have your perspective changed or challenged. Do you feel like there's enough of these safe spaces for black men in particular? And I guess my second question leading on from that is, were there any men that you came across who you feel made a huge transformation from when you first saw them, whether in thought or action?
There's much more groups around now, 100 Black Men, Father to Father, much more than there used to be. But the fact is, a lot of groups depend on voluntary donations. It's not something, you can go to a lottery and try. I know a couple of groups who did. Some are successful and some are not. But I would implore any man of color that the group doesn't have to consist of 20. It could be just amongst your friends, 3 or 4 people, 6 people. It doesn't have to be a huge organization. But a safe space, I think, is really important for our mental health, because we know the animosity that we have in this country. And I know there's a lot of groups that are trying to get safe spaces for men. It doesn't even have to be a community center. It could be in your home, like mine started, with your best friends. But it's so important for our mental health that we talk about the issues that are important to me. And one of the issues we spoke about in the book as well around masculinity is the desire to be wrong, the sexual conquest, womanizing. We talk about all those type of topics and how the society kind of frames us. It's almost like we're in Hollywood and we're typecast. We either have to be a gangster or a womanizer or absent fathers. I've met both sets of groups, and they all have feelings and emotions. Has men changed along the way? Most certainly. I have seen some men that we call like disciplinarian men, and some sexist men who some of their comments were allowed, some of them were challenged, and they would go home and think about it. And because the space was safe, they could come back and say, guys, I was wrong. Guys, I've been like this for so long. I've been functioning like this for so long. I'm scared to change. I don't know how to change, but this group is helping me to change.
That's amazing. And it's so important. It's so important to feel that you can actually say that, you know, with your boys, with, you know, with the men first, and then make those changes within yourself in the relationship. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the chapter you wrote about finances, which is a very interesting perspective. What was that chapter called? Do you remember?
My money, your money, our money.
That's it. My money, your money, our money.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about some of the challenges that the men face there. Before we do that, I just want to say hello to Ines Rafidi, who says, interesting book, can't wait to read it. Check it out. It's on Amazon and all good retailers.
Hey, Ines.
Yes. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, there was that chapter. There's also another chapter. Your woman earns more than you.
Yes.
Exclamation mark.
Yes, let's talk about those two chapters.
Yeah, so the my money, our money, your money, our money was really about financial intelligence. What I found is that men in their teenage years, they spend a lot of money on cars, parties, champagne. Look, I'm doing my little dance.
Yeah.
Brandy,
Yeah.
having a good time. Nothing wrong with that, guys. Okay. But there comes a time when you must do financial planning. What I found in relationships is that money is a very emotional subject. It's a very emotional subject. And how people spend their money and manage their money is very emotional as well. You get people who have learned emotional intelligence. They understand the importance of saving or having a financial portfolio, even having a will, because you want to give 40% to the tax man. To men and women who have none of those things, they just like to spend their money. And I came across quite a few men that were just spending their money in their 40s. They hadn't bought a flat or rented a flat or got savings. They were just living from day to day. Yeah. And some of the relationships, what you found is that you have different kind of bank accounts. Relationships do. You have those bank accounts where the woman has her own account, the man has her own account, and never the two shall meet in the middle. And they argue about money all the time because there's bills to pay, there's rent to pay, and one gives a little bit, the other one gives a bit more than the other, and they're always arguing. You then have relationships whereby they have their separate account because we all want to buy things we want to buy, and they have a joint account where you pay all the bills together. So if you have a joint account, there's no arguments about if the man wants to buy something, headphones or something for £200, there's no argument because it's your money. And if the woman wants to buy a handbag for £300, it's your money. There's money in the middle in the joint account that pays all the bills. That's okay. We then had a third type of account, which is our account, where I met a couple where they did not have separate accounts.
At all?
At all. Their main accounts were all together. The main account was all together. So they put all the money in that account. Their wages went into that account, and they paid all the bills together, and they decided what they could spend. Well, no, they didn't decide what to spend. If she needed a pair of jeans or something or earrings, she could go and buy it. And if he needed something, he could go and buy it. But any major decisions about money, buying something, like in the hundreds, they would talk about it. That was unpalatable to a lot of fathers. They went,
down.
No way.
Sounds unpalatable to me.
Yeah, and I had fathers who it was my money, and they're not having a joint account to pay the bills because it's their money, and they'll put money into that account as and when they want to. And other fathers said, you know what? I like the sound of this joint account because it means I have the freedom to buy what I want without criticism, but all the bills get paid because we have a joint account. And that was very popular amongst some of the men. But where it can go wrong is what I call my money, whereby males and females decide that they don't want to play the game. They want to leave the bills to their partners. Or you find one partner is much better with money, so therefore they'd make sure they set aside money for the bills and the rent or the mortgage, and that causes a lot of friction within relationships. And as they say, you know, that's one of the number one reasons why behind infidelity, why relationships split up, is to do with money. So I'm talking about financial intelligence here, to keep relationships together.
I guess that's one of the things that's not taught at school, you know, how to manage finances, mortgage, bills, all of these sorts of things. I think it's absolutely crucial.
And then you take that into a relationship.
Exactly. And all of that. Yeah. And then you have obviously the masculinity behind it of wanting to be right and wanting to know and pretend they know how it works, but really, you know, and secrets perhaps of maybe, what's the word am I looking to say? Acting as if they have more money than they actually do, or when financial problems happen, it becomes more difficult to speak up and be vulnerable about it, I think. How did some men, I know from obviously reading a book, how did some men feel? What were some of the attitudes around their partners earning more than them?
Wow, listen, that was a real challenging topic. One of the groups I actually ran, it nearly collapsed because of this topic. Men did not want to talk about their women earning more than them. I'm not giving too much away. It's a good read.
It's a good read.
It's a good read. I mean, we know that women educationally are surpassing men educationally. Therefore, women are going to go into better paying jobs eventually because their qualifications and their talent and their skills. And some men who are used to earning more than their partners or their wives slowly see their partners overtaking them in earnings. Now, if your masculinity, part of your masculinity is wrapped up in earning, being the breadwinner, that can really affect your confidence. And also the ribbing of your friends. I mean, they're ribbing you as a joke, but is it a joke? You women, who wears the trousers in your house then? Your women's earning more than you. And that can lead to a lack of confidence within men. But we have really good solutions within that chapters on how to address that issue within a relationship. Because I know relationship that's believe it or not, that's split up because of money. You would think in this day and age that it wouldn't be an issue, but it is an issue for some men.
Yeah, because it's not just about the money for some, is it? It's about feeling like they have to fulfill these traditional roles, or you know what they've seen from their parents and their parents' parents and their parents' parents, or what society tells you as a man you have to do. You've got to protect, provide, and it's a lot, which again I commend you on first sort of starting this space in your front room and opening up this conversation where it can be openly talked about as well without shame or ridicule or judgment, which I think is really important as well. Absolutely beautiful book. I just want to give a shout out to Misdemeanor Justine.
Yeah.
Right. And what's that in your background there? Show us here. I can see.
In my background?
Yeah.
Oh, behind me. That's her.
There you go.
That's her canvas.
Actually drew a canvas. So Justina, Taylor, pick up on Instagram. I'll post this on Instagram later. Also on Facebook, Justina Art. She created this cover. Tell us about this cover. What does it mean to you? Why was this image important?
Yeah, me and you, Danny, we struggled to find a picture to really represent what the book was about. Again, a lot of the pictures were American pictures, you know, all glammed up and all, you know, looking good, and because it was about being invisible, fathers being invisible in this country, black men being invisible, not really seen, typecast, as I spoke about earlier, and all the pictures, hundreds of pictures we went through, we just couldn't find that right picture.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't me, Danny. Got hold of her, and she drew a wonderful picture for us. And it was really important that the fathers didn't actually have faces, because it represents being invisible. And I wanted a different age range. One of the guys even got a little earring on him. May not be able to even see it, but yep, that one's got a little earring, you know, to represent young fathers. And when she drew this picture, I was blown away, because it's okay doing a book, but actually seeing the cover of a book really brings it to life.
Yeah.
And I just love the picture. And I've got so many positives from people about just the picture, because Daniel's saying, okay, picture's important. It draws people to a book. Come on, let's find one. And I was like, give up. I've had enough. But then,
no.
Yeah. And then you put me on to her, and it was great. So love the picture.
I think it's an absolutely beautiful cover. It gets across what it needs to. It's striking. I spent a lot of time on the font there and the colours. But also, this is one of my, I love the editing and I love the reading, but I really love, you know, the creation of putting it all together. So getting the vision to match, you know, what's inside the book. It is so important. So I could talk to you all day about.
Well, go on then. Carry on.
We'll have to come back.
No, I'm joking.
A little bit for those who haven't published a book at all, because obviously this is about sort of cracking into, letting people know what's between the covers or picking behind the veil. You know, what was the process of writing and publishing this book like, and was it what you expected?
I started the book before I met Danny, and as I said, it's only meant to be 6 chapters, and then it ballooned into, well, actually, I got 15 chapters, so I've got half a book already to do number 2 if needed. One of the things that I was just writing and writing, and I got to like 127,000 words, and when I sent my manuscript to Danny, she said, cut it down to 80 or 90,000. I went, what? Impossible. But you know what? Having said that, it was the best bit of advice I was ever given, because I could have gone on for another 10,000, but I needed structure, and I needed someone to kind of like pull me in and say, no, Kenny, that's enough. Okay, change this bit, amend this bit, and that was really good. I really needed that. Danny didn't like to take any credit for that, but it would be gathering dust if it wasn't for Danny. And I sincerely mean that, because she calls herself a book mentor and a journey mentor and all that. She's all of those things and much more. And I just needed someone who knew what they were doing to guide me. So most of the times I was meeting groups in the weekend or in the evening, I was coming back and just writing about everything and anything that happened. And then after I just wrote everything, I would highlight the parts that I think was important for the book or relevant for the book, or another part I would highlight and say, okay, that actually belongs in another chapter. If I get more topics on that and it's orange, I would put it into that chapter. So I kind of like started a kind of color coordinated things into which chapter they went in. That I found really, really helpful. And you have to have a certain amount of discipline, in the sense of, if you want to get something done, if you want to watch TV 7 days a week or watch a box set, you're not going to finish your book.
No.
You really have to say, okay, Wednesday and Saturday is my days for my book, and come what may, I'm going to do something about my book. Sometimes you have writer's cramp and you've got a block, but there's other things you can do with your book. And other times I found things were flowing and I just continued to write. So you have to have a kind of a discipline to be able to write your book. The last thing I suppose I'd say, I mean, I there were times when I nearly gave up.
No.
Yeah, there were times.
Glad you didn't.
Funny enough, you know, it's women actually that got me to the finish line. I mention them in my book. I give them, yeah. I mean, 4 in particular I mentioned because they were like, Kenny, what chapter are you on? Really? You should be on the following chapter. Where are you? Are you doing any tonight? And you know, women are strength. I mean, I come from a family of 8, 4 eldest sisters.
Wow.
I've got my auntie and my 2 favorite aunties who are here on holiday from Dominica at the moment.
Hey.
Love you if you're watching me. It's that side of the focus and the drive that I find that's my female side, and I get that from the females within my family and my friendship groups as well. Not giving up, getting to that line, finishing it, and I think that's really important.
Amazing, and that's such a skill. It's so important. Completing what you set your heart to, and I'm so glad that you
and believing in what you're doing as well.
100%.
I believed in the book. It's not that I sometimes I felt like giving up, not because I didn't believe in the book, because the time it was taking. Remember, I had to depend on fatherhood groups to be able to talk about these topics.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about, so your women earns more than you, exclamation mark, that was stopping and starting all the time because fathers wasn't turning up, 2 would turn up, 4 would turn up, 6 would turn up.
It was a tender subject.
Yeah.
But you got there, and now you can go to these father groups with the book.
Yes.
And have these as discussion points with existing father groups that you've been to and new ones that you may set up or new ones that you may come across. So, I mean, it's an absolutely fantastic tool. I mean, what is your job now that you finished your book? This is the beginning. So it's out on Father's Day, which is the 19th of June. But you can pre-order it now. So what's your plan with the book, and what do you hope to do?
I think the plan with my book is to obviously take it to lots of community groups, in particular fatherhood organizations, to talk about their experiences, conferences as well. The University of East London, I was contacted by, believe it or not, and the book's not even out yet, to talk about fatherhood, and I thought that was great. I thought, wow, you know, the funny thing about when you write a book is things just spring out where you least expect it to. Now, I'm not an expert on fatherhood. I've got 2 children, and I'll be taking fathers along with me because the book is about them and for them. So I want them to share in that experience as well, and take fathers of different age group to talk about fatherhood and their experiences and their relationship experiences as well. And also I've got a book launch coming up as well. I haven't done the flyer or anything yet, but Sunday the 3rd of July at Stratford Library. Chose Stratford because it has lots of rail and tube connections. So I hope on the 3rd of Sunday the 3rd of July people can come. They have to confirm whether it's between 10 or 12 and 2 and 4, but they'll confirm that with me, and obviously I'll advertise that to everybody.
And I'll be sharing that as well. So I'll be sharing that out as well. So if you're following me or Kenny, follow him, Kenny Harry, on LinkedIn and on Facebook, so you can keep up to date with what it's doing.
Thank you. I hope the book is a good blueprint for fathers who are looking for answers in the 3 areas: love, life, and fatherhood.
Amazing. That actually leads me to my next question. I've got 2 more, or last question. What is your top advice for new fathers? What is the kind of wisdom you want to impart? No pressure.
Wow. For new fathers, I would say get the support of your family and friends, I would say, because it's not easy being a new father. I would say read my book. Join a fatherhood group if you can, because one of the things you'll find is that you're so concentrated on bringing up your child, whether it's a male or female, you can forget about your relationship. So we have responsibilities, and I talk about Nelson Mandela in my book about saying our responsibilities is our family and our community and ourselves, because you have to be self-aware and always be willing to grow as a father and learn new techniques. Don't think you know it all. There's no reason why you should know it all. Learn from others who have been there, and join a fatherhood group if you can, or read my book, so that you can take into fatherhood what you've learned as a male, but not be stuck what you've learned as a male, because sometimes there can be negative things about a male that you've learned. And as you go through the journey of being a father, you learn new parenting skills and you become more confident. And don't forget your partner or your wife within that, because they too need your time and energy and affection as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's such amazing advice. We have got one last question here. Benita, or one of our authors, saying noted. She's got the 3rd of July written down in her book. Her book's actually launching on the 4th of July. We've got a sort out book launch for that. So that's exciting, getting authors together. Joel Principles asking, hi, Kenny. Have you thought of having an audio version for those who don't read much? I was just speaking about audio books at the beginning of this broadcast. It's actually Audio Appreciation Month, and we've started rolling out audiobook services. So, Kenny, what do you reckon?
I've had about 6 fathers said to me, is it in audio? I'm getting a gender thing here. I haven't had one woman ask me for an audio. So what is this? Is that women read more intelligence there, or is it that guys just like to hear the sound? I don't know. I'm just jesting, to be honest.
From research, women do read more, but as a whole, audio books are becoming a lot more. They've taken off a lot since 2020, since lockdown, and it's actually been a great way to engage young boys with reading as well. And myself, I've really built up my audiobook list over the last 2 years, because I just read a lot. So I just want to listen. It's a new way of consuming information, I think. So
yeah, so thank you for that. I'll look into that. I know Danny's doing that at the moment, aren't you? So
I am indeed.
Certainly look into that.
Fabulous. Let's get this off the ground first, and we'll see how we get on. You might want to take a breather. So yeah, after all that work, but yeah, we can get you in the studio whenever you're ready, if you so wish.
Great, thank you. Thank you to everyone who come in today. I appreciate that. And Leah, one other thing, Leah, sorry I didn't come to your launch because our birthday coincided. So I hope your launch went well.
Oh yes, Leah's book launch was amazing. No worries, you had the same birthday, so I hope you had a great time as well. She's done the audio book with us, and here you go. You've got a female saying she would love an audio. Yes, Vinita, tell him.
Okay. Yeah, you tell me. So noted.
Joel said, men multitask whilst listening to good material. True.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
And Benita says, brilliant interview. Fantastic.
Thank
you so much, Kenny. So just to finish off, how can people connect with you, and where can people get your book?
They can get my book on Amazon, which is the main place. It's there now. You can pre-order it. You can also contact me on my email address, Kenny Fete, Fete @hotmail.co.uk. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I know Danny wants me to stay on Instagram, but I don't like Instagram.
No, it's fine. Just find the platforms that work for you. It was big enough. It was hard enough.
And
to get
Twitter,
Facebook, and LinkedIn. So that's the start. Those are your platforms.
They are. Okay, good.
Okay, cool.
And there's a link to Amazon on there to purchase the book.
Perfect. We will add the link onto the broadcast as well. Oh, Dunstan from 100 Black Men of London is here now.
Ah, Dunstan.
He's saying, did you go to Stratford School, Kenny?
Yes, I did. Did you go to Forest Gate and try to beat me up?
Let's take this offline.
Forest Gate School used to just come and beat us up all the time. Dunstan Cavell. I remember Dunstan. Hi, Dunstan. Tall Dunstan used to do the 400 meters. He used to be fast.
Oh, you remember him from school?
I do, yes.
Serious. I tagged him in, so that he's part of the 100 Black Men of London.
Wow. Such a nice person, even at the age of 14.
Oh, wow. Greetings, he says. Well, Dunstan, we're about to finish up, so please do watch the replay. And I think you need to team up with Kenny and do some kind
definitely.
Of Forest Gate, was it? / Stratford Boys.
Yeah, we're to Stratford School, yeah.
Stratford School, there you go. So his book, Being Invisible, Men of Colour Talk About Love, Life and Fatherhood. There's going to be a launch in Stratford on the 3rd of July. So hopefully we'll see you there, Dunstan, as well. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining in. You've got lots of comments here. Please do connect with Kenny. Get a copy of this. It's Father's Day coming up. So what better way to get a glimpse into fathers and some of the struggles they face and the rewards than getting this book, Being Invisible, Men of Colour Talk About Love, Life and Fatherhood. Kenny, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Danny. Thank you so much for getting me through this. No problem. We got there. We got to the finish line. Launching on the 19th of June. How long have we been working together? Feels like forever. A year. A year, hasn't it? Yeah. Wow. It's been a great year. A year in July. Oh, wow. Next month. Yeah. We've got an anniversary coming up. We have. We have. I've got some of this if you want some. I'll pass it down the yes. Save that for the 3rd. I'll be on that. All right, fantastic. So join us next week, 7 p.m. GMT, 2 p.m. EST, where I will be giving you 5 reasons why publishing an audiobook is just an amazing idea. Not just because we're offering the service, but it's just an amazing thing to be able to offer as an author as well. So see you next week, 7 p.m. GMT. My name has been Daniela Bleckner, speaking to the awesome and amazing. I'm going to say a name here. Kenny, say Kenny. Name. Kenny. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you all.